back out in the garage. End of May, Hillbilly air conditioning's up and running. Like always, I gotta move stuff out so I can get to the project. So, quick update on the U302 Super. Been working on trying to get it back together. Now that I've caught up on other projects, sort of ish. So in the last day or so, I got the new not cobbled, welded together throttle linkage on that I picked up from Motec Engineering. This is all hooked up, washers, new cotter pin on that. We got new, I got one to tighten up yet. New hose clamps on the fuel line, starters in, choke cables hooked up. Actually, because of the proximity of the choke cable to hot post of the starter, we it had been just electrical taped, but I put a layer of heat shrink tubing over the electrical tape just as an added precaution. I'm ready to hook the battery up, except that when I went to find the wire that goes from that terminal up to the amp gauge, I mean, I can make a reasonable guess. Hold on. What are you looking at there? That based on the size of that ring terminal, that it's this one. I suppose I could chase it down, but the wiring is all the wires on the light switch have been cut off, except for this thing here, which I think might be a resistor wire for the low beam lights. Maybe, I don't know, because it comes out and loops around and then goes back. So I'm going with that's resistor. I zoomed in, didn't mean to. I'm going with this as resistor wire, because like I say, it comes off of the light switch up here and goes back in the light switch down there. So I'm guessing that that's resistor wire for the low beams. But it is just such a I don't mind all my other mess, but I mean the wiring is just such a freaking mess. Yeah, I think since really the only thing left to do over here on this side, as far as wiring and stuff that I want to get done before I put the front end back on, is the wire here and here for the hot going to the amp gauge, and then the wire from the starter switch. I think I'm going to get some good heat shrink terminals, ring terminals that are the right size, and we'll run probably 10 gauge wire here, maybe 12 there, and we'll at least pull them through. And once I get that over there on that side, that kind of finishes up this side. But then I'm thinking maybe I want to get the water pump and alternator and power steering pump put back on here, so that I don't have to work around the radiator while I'm putting it all back on. Yeah, I don't know. I did get the new drain cocks in the side of the block. I started working on the transmission, or the temperature sending unit for the engine coolant. I buffed up the brass sending unit a little bit there. It was in this galvanized reducing bung that is so packed full of corrosion that they're like, the water was only getting like to the tip of the sensor, not even to all that. So tomorrow after work, I'm gonna go get one of these in brass as well. Excuse me, and And they see about, I don't know, we'll see how it goes together. Either grinding it down or boring it out, drilling it out something down here at the very tip so that the sensor tip gets a little more coolant around it, get a little better, maybe a little more accurate reading. But the power steering pump obviously needs cleaned up because it's all dirty and the bracket's dirty. Same with the water pump fan housing. I think this thing had a generator on it, which I'm not sure how the generator worked because it had a voltage regulator, and I know the voltage regulator was plugged in because there's the plug for it. So unless they were running the generator through, unless there's like no, like bypassing the voltage regulator on, I don't know. I don't know. It's been a minute since I took it apart. I don't remember. And with as jacked up as the wiring harness is, they may have wired around all that stuff for the voltage regulator. I don't know. But I definitely got to clean all this mess up. So I got room to get in there and start in on the electrical, which is something I could have been doing all winter, you know, but I didn't. So, but I gotta get Mama's Jeep in for the night because we've been having some rainstorms and stuff. Part of town lost power earlier, so I got to get all my carts shoved back into their respective hidey hole places, so we can get the table saw back out of the way. But yeah. 302 Super, we're slowly getting her back together. I don't know, give myself a deadline. We'll get her all put back together and drive it at the 4th of July parade. Pulling the float with the Special Olympics. But I get all that back together and I got all the sheet metal that I could have been buffing out this winter and didn't. I want to buff the sheet metal, definitely the hood and side panels and stuff. I have to see how the white turns out. We may repaint. We may look at repainting the white. I don't know. I don't know. Some of it, none of it. I don't know. We'll see how it cleans up and buffs out. I buffed some of this a little bit by hand. Yeah, you can see. I buffed this, and you can see right in there it gets dull again. I didn't. So. Yeah, so I've got this to degrease, clean and paint, that to degrease, clean and paint. This doesn't really need degrease, but definitely needs clean and painted. This won't take a whole lot. We might not do much other than just a real light scuff with sandpaper and shoot a fresh coat of black. Oh, I will have to get a dent out of the top. But anyway, tomorrow's plan is to get ring terminals and wire. I've got good 10 gauge wire to pull for the, for that thing. I just got to get the right size ring terminal. I've got the right size ring terminal. I'm just not sure it's the right size for the gauge of wire that I want to run. Because I do have, I'm going to dig into it. I got this piece of wire here. I'm not sure what this is. 12 or 14 gauge. Whatever it is, it'd be more than sufficient for the starter circuit. So when you hit the starter, the solenoid shouldn't draw that much amperage, and that's way more than enough for that. So I just don't know if that ring is the appropriate size for that size wire, because I don't know what size wire that is. Who knows? I might buy a whole bunch more wire tomorrow too. Hard telling. But definitely want to get this put back together. Get those wires pulled over to there. We're probably going to run out of carbon choke cleaner and brake cleaner. Clean up all that. Because we'll probably just spray it down. Wipe it down. Paint it, call it good. I haven't decided if I want to pull this pump off the bracket to paint it. Probably should, because that's going to be the Dyna Brown. That's going to be black. And again, it's all going to be up underneath the hood, so you might not see it anyway. But plan is right now, I think we will pull that off. We'll just hose all that down real good with brake clean, carb cleaner, and get all the grease off of it. Well, that looks like that's black. Why would that? That's all going to be brown. Anyway, so that's where we're at on 302 Super. Just slowly getting her back together. Old Raj in Nebraska would call it. Well, we're well beyond the grand point of turnaround because we've already started putting them back together, but we're returning around, I guess. I don't know. Continuing forward with putting her back together. Anyway, there it is. I'll be back.